First at 9 this Monday, the 5th of May 2025. TikTok. Sri Lanka waits for polls to open for the delayed local government elections tomorrow. Derana all geared up once again to bring you the nation's best live election coverage. Sri Lanka decides. Open arms. Sri Lankan President Anukumara Dissanayake meets Vietnamese counterpart and signs several key MOUs. Pictures Sri Lanka as a haven for Vietnamese investment. Praising resilience. Central Bank of Sri Lanka launches Sustainable Finance Roadmap 2.0. World Bank country manager commends Sri Lanka for laying a solid foundation for green financing despite recent economic challenges. Custom-made penalty. Sri Lanka Customs to publicize names of individuals and organizations found guilty of violating customs laws from June.
Cine Campus Open Day. May masa 3 වෙනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට Cine Campus පරිශ්‍රයේදී.
From Ada Derana, this is Ada Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Ada Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Drisingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms. Recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now in your top story tonight, Sri Lanka is set to hold polls for the long-delayed local government elections tomorrow to elect public representatives for 339 of the country's 341 local authorities. Polls will open at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning at over 13,500 polling centres island-wide. Election authorities urged all of the over 17 million Sri Lankans eligible to vote in the election to exercise their right to franchise in electing representatives for their respective local government authorities.
The local government elections will be held tomorrow for 339 of Sri Lanka's 341 local authorities. The election for the Alpitiya Pradeshya Sabha has already been held, while that of the Kalmune Municipal Council has been postponed as a legal matter against it is pending before the courts. Accordingly, 75,589 candidates contesting under 49 recognised political parties and 257 independent groups will be contesting tomorrow's election, in which 17,156,338 Sri Lankans are eligible to vote. The local government elections are held under the mixed member proportional representation electoral system, where 60% of a local authority's councillors are elected on a divisional basis, while the remaining 40% are elected on a proportional basis. Polling for the local government elections will be conducted at 13,759 polling centres island-wide.
All district returning officers have informed the Election Commission that all polling centres have been prepared and security measures put in place for tomorrow's election. All is ready for polling to be conducted from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow.
Open schools will only be closed today and tomorrow in view of the election. No school being utilised as a polling centre will be closed on the 7th of May. Principals of schools being utilised as issuance and acceptance centres have been informed as to the duration that they will be required. Foreign observers will not be present for this election, as most international election watchdogs do not consider the local government polls a national election. However, local observers have joined us to enable observation of all polling centres.
65,000 police personnel have been deployed to ensure security during the local government elections.
Over 65,000 police personnel have been deployed to provide security for the local government elections. The riot police is also ready to be deployed if needed. 2,337 Special Task Force personnel and 9,906 personnel of the Civil Defence Force will also be deployed. Tri-Forces personnel are also on standby to provide support in case of emergency.
Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre has also instituted a special emergency response plan in line with the election.
We have prepared a plan to provide around-the-clock emergency response services during tomorrow's election. A special emergency operations centre has been set up just for the election and several telephone numbers have been assigned for it. Accordingly, the telephone numbers 011 366 8032, 011 366 8087, 011 366 8026 and 011 366 8179, and the hotline 117 will be operational around the clock.
The Election Commission urged all eligible voters to exercise their right to franchise.
Voters are requested to head to the polls as early as possible tomorrow morning with a valid form of identification. If anyone is yet to receive their official polling card, it can be obtained from your local post office even now. Even if you are unable to obtain your polling card, that won't be an issue. We urge you to go to the polls with a valid form of identification and cast your vote. Now, just as we brought to you the most successful election coverage during the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, Ada Derana is all geared up to bring you the latest updates on the 2025 local government polls tomorrow using state-of-the-art technology and graphics. The latest election results of the local government polls will be brought to you through our special election coverage, Sri Lanka Decides, live from Studio 24 in Colombo. After a hiatus of 7 years, the 2025 local government elections are set to commence at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Ada Derana is geared up to keep you posted on the 2025 local government elections through the Sri Lanka Decides special election coverage. Derana Aruna will kick off the coverage at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. The Sri Lanka Decides special election coverage will then be broadcast on TV Derana and Ada Derana 24 from 8 a.m. onwards. With production teams and correspondents stationed in each district, we are prepared to bring you the latest updates of the local government polls throughout the day. Studio 24 in Colombo, the largest news studio in South Asia, is equipped with cutting-edge technology to deliver the latest updates to you with live graphics. Our live election coverage can be viewed on Ada Derana 24 channel number 14, available on both Dialogue and POTV. Moreover, election results will also be publicized through FM Derana, the www.adaderana.lk website, as well as through the Ada Derana text alerts. In addition, the latest election results and updates will also be posted on our YouTube, Facebook and X social media accounts. Just as we brought you the results of the last presidential and parliamentary elections, Ada Derana is ready to bring to you all the election-related information up to the final results in real time through our media sources. Now, in other local news, at a momentous second day in Vietnam, President Derana met Vietnamese President Luong Quoc today at Vietnam's presidential palace, where the visiting Sri Lankan head of state was welcomed with full military honours. The two heads of state then convened bilateral discussions where several MOUs were inked. Meanwhile, yesterday, President Derana pitched Sri Lanka as an ideal haven for Vietnamese investments at a business engagement with a top Vietnamese conglomerate named Vingroup.
President Anurekumara Dissanayake met Vietnamese President Luong Quoc today. The meeting, which was slated to be the key highlight of President Disanayake's state visit to Vietnam, was held at the Vietnamese presidential palace, where the visiting Sri Lankan president was accorded a ceremonial welcome with full military honours. Subsequently, the two heads of state engaged in bilateral discussions and inked several MOUs. During the meetings, the two leaders have also agreed to renew the Defence Memorandum of Understanding, exchange defence delegations and enhance cooperation in areas such as defence studies, UN peacekeeping, training, intelligence sharing and combating transnational crimes. Additionally, they discussed collaboration in the defence industry and strengthening public security cooperation. Recognizing untapped potential, both sides agreed to deepen economic cooperation and review existing agreements to facilitate trade and investment. The leaders also agreed to take practical steps to increase bilateral trade, including thorough trade facilitation, business-to-business linkages, trade missions and events with the goal of raising trade volume to $1 billion. Both leaders expressed their commitment to encouraging greater investment inflows, with Vietnam acknowledging Sri Lanka's investment in 33 projects valued at over $43 million. President Dissanayake highlighted Sri Lanka's interest in attracting Vietnamese investment in sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, energy and infrastructure. They further agreed to enhance air connectivity under the existing Air Services Agreement and to encourage the launch of direct flights to boost tourism and people-to-people exchanges. Both sides acknowledged the potential for greater agricultural cooperation, with Sri Lanka seeking Vietnam's expertise in modernization, automation and post-harvest processing. Acknowledging mutual strengths in artificial intelligence, e-commerce and digital transformation, both parties agreed to strengthen cooperation through knowledge exchange and technology transfer. President Dissanayake then visited the Ho Chi Minh City relic site located within the premises of the Vietnamese presidential palace. The Sri Lankan president subsequently placed a floral tribute at the mausoleum of late Vietnamese President Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam's first president and a revered leader of the country's struggle for independence. President Dissanayake also honoured the war heroes of Vietnam by placing a floral wreath at the War Heroes Monument in Hanoi. During his state visit, President Anurukumara Dissanayake extended an open invitation to Vietnam's leading conglomerate Vingroup to explore investment opportunities in Sri Lanka's real estate and tourism sectors. The invitation was extended by the president yesterday evening at a business engagement with Vingroup at their headquarters in Hanoi, where he met with the delegation led by Vice Chairman and the CEO of Vingroup, Nguyen Viet Quang. Congratulating Vingroup of their achievements and particularly appreciating Vingroup for building a diversified global brand, President Dissanayake emphasized that Sri Lanka is pleased to facilitate the creation of a smooth and enabling environment for their investments. At the meeting, President Dissanayake emphasized Sri Lanka's strategic geographic position, progressive infrastructure development and the government's commitment to fostering a conducive environment for foreign investors, particularly in high-potential sectors such as tourism and real estate.
සිනෙක් කැම්පස් ඕපන් ඩේ මැයි මස 3 වැනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට සිනෙක් කැම්පස් පරිශ්‍රයේදී
15 Sri Lankans who were forcibly employed in cybercrime centers in Myanmar, Myanmar are to be rescued tomorrow. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism of Sri Lanka said the rescue operation is being carried out on the instructions of the Minister of Foreign Affairs with assistance from officials at the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Myanmar. The International Organization for Migration in Thailand is set to provide airline tickets and local transport for the rescued individuals. All arrangements have been made through the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Thailand in coordination with the Governor of the Tak Province and immigration authorities. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, in coordination with Sri Lankan embassies in Myanmar and Thailand and with the support of the other governments of Myanmar and Thailand, facilitated the rescue of 14 Sri Lankans who had been trafficked and forcibly employed in cybercrime centers in Myanmar, Myanmar previously in March. Country Manager for Sri Lanka at the World Bank Group, Gregor Zagazian, commended Sri Lanka for laying a solid foundation for green financing despite the economic challenges the country has faced in recent years. Speaking at the launch of the Sustainable Finance Roadmap 2.0 by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Zagazian emphasized the importance of extending sustainable finance initiatives to small, micro and medium-scale enterprises, noting that these sectors are vital for driving inclusive economic growth and long-term development in the country.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka officially launched the Sustainable Finance Roadmap 2.0 today at the Central Bank premises with the participation of the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, World Bank Group's Country Manager for Sri Lanka, Javog Sargisian, and other dignitaries.
Climate-related events are becoming more common, which raises concerns over financial institutions' ability to manage their risks and to continue to provide financial services in certain segments and geographies. Financial authorities are taking steps to integrate climate risks in their financial stability assessments. In this backdrop, the central bank policy interventions are necessary to ensure resilience while lifting the inclusiveness among society for achieving greater prosperity. Particularly, we have incorporated the social aspect of sustainability. This is a new aspect in this roadmap. 2.0, as a new central bank act, recognizes, as I mentioned earlier, inclusiveness as a part of our mandate. Further, the roadmap 2.0 has given more emphasis to the internal risk management frameworks in addressing climate challenges in the financial sector while focusing on green initiatives. In terms of social aspect of sustainability roadmap 2, this will serve for the broader theme of social justice with special emphasis on MSMEs and also vulnerable groups and gender equality. National Financial Inclusion Strategy Phase 2 will also be implemented as part of the roadmap, which is expected to promote inclusive green financing. Successful implementation of Roadmap 2.0 will position Sri Lanka at the forefront of the sustainable finance leadership in the region.
In the last 6 years since the launch of the first roadmap, despite multiple crises and criticality to focus on immediate, in a way, saving country efforts, you have been able to keep the longer term view and project your vision and lay foundation for green financing and sustainable financing that will be essential for the next phase of Sri Lanka's recovery and growth. It will be critical for it focuses on MSMEs, which will be essential part of future growth of the country. It will put more emphasis on social aspects of sustainability. While the focus until now has been more on environmental, it is equally important for the inclusivity and for sustained effort to bring every part of the society into this equation.
Sri Lanka Customs announced its decision to publish the names of individuals and organizations found guilty of violating customs laws on their official website. Issuing a statement, the Customs stated that the names of individuals and entities found guilty after thorough investigations conducted under the Customs Ordinance will be published. This initiative is set to come into effect from June 2025. As part of the latest measures taken by Sri Lanka Customs to discourage fraudulent practices and ensure accurate collection of government revenue, the Customs have decided to publish the names of individuals and organizations found guilty of violating customs laws. Accordingly, the names of the guilty will be published on the official website of Sri Lanka Customs. Through the implementation of this measure, Sri Lanka Customs intends to deter deliberate tax evasion, ensuring the accurate collection of government revenue and enforcing import and export regulations more strictly, thereby minimizing the illegal entry and exit of goods in and out of the country. Only the names of individuals and entities found guilty after thorough investigations conducted under the Customs Ordinance will be published. Meanwhile, in a bid to prevent money laundering and terrorist financing, the Customs has established a money laundering and terrorist financing unit under the guidance of the Financial Intelligence Unit of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. In future, this unit will conduct further investigations into institutions and individuals involved in customs-related offences and will take steps to report to the Financial Intelligence Unit and the Criminal Investigation Department about such suspicious cases. This new initiative is expected to come into effect from June 2025. 4 third-year undergraduates have been arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department in connection with the recent suicide of an undergraduate at the University of Sabaragamuwa. After being produced before the Balangoda Magistrates Court, the suspects were remanded until the 16th of May. According to the latest updates, 11 undergraduates of the University of Sabaragamuwa, including those remanded so far, have been suspended over the tragic incident. A 23-year-old second-year undergraduate of the Department of Engineering Technology at the University of Sabaragamuwa took his own life on April 29th. A final note left behind by the deceased revealed that he had been suffering from depression at the time. However, the deceased undergraduate's family and friends allege that he committed suicide after being subject to brutal acts of ragging at the university. As public outrage picked up over the unfortunate death, the Minister of Education issued a statement noting that a board of inquiry has been appointed to probe the incident. Vice-Chancellor of the Sabaragamuwa University, Professor Sunil Shanta, appointed a separate 3-member committee to probe the incident as well. Meanwhile, the Samanalawewa police recorded recorded statements from 30 undergraduates reported to be victims of ragging along with the deceased. Pursuant to an order issued by the Acting Inspector General of the Police, the ongoing investigation over the death of the university student was handed over to the Criminal Investigation Department. Consequently, the Criminal Investigation Department apprehended 4 undergraduates residing at the hostel of the Sabaragamu University. The arrestees, who are 30 undergraduates of the Technology Faculty, have been remanded until May 16th by the Balangoda Magistrates Court. The police stated that 6 more students are to be arrested over the incident.
The student who committed suicide left a note behind. All parties accept that the note was written by the deceased. However, the note makes no reference to ragging and he has made no remarks on the matter either.
The heat index, or the temperature felt on the human body, is likely to increase up to caution level at some places across Sri Lanka tomorrow. Issuing an advisory for warm weather, the Department of Meteorology forecasts that the heat index could increase between 39 and 45 degrees Celsius in the eastern, northern, northwestern and north central provinces and in the Monragala district. Accordingly, the department advises the public to increase the intake of liquids, limit work outdoors and to wear lightweight and light-colored clothing to reduce the effect of heat felt on the human body. And now here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
19-year-old youth was gunned down in Mount Lavinia by 2 unidentified assailants earlier today. The assailants, who arrived on a motorcycle, were caught on camera chasing the victim, who was injured by the first shot fired. The victim, who attempted to flee, was shot dead by the shooter at the intersection near Beach Road in Mount Lavinia. The deceased youth was identified as a resident of Auburn Place in Dehiwala. The police suspect the motive for the murder to be a personal dispute tied to narcotics between the victim's mother and a drug trafficker named Kosmalli. Further investigations into the incident are ongoing under the supervision of the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Western Province, Gayanga Marapana. Former Minister Mervyn Silva and 3 other defendants who were arrested for allegedly selling state-owned land to a private party by forging documents have been further remanded until the 19th of May by the Mahara Magistrates Court. The court also issued open warrants for former State Minister Prasanna Ranavira and 3 other suspects who are implicated in the matter. In the meantime, parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayake has been further remanded until the 19th of May by the Badula Magistrates Court today. The parliamentarian was arrested by the Bribery Commission on the 27th of March over the alleged misappropriation of a sum of 1 million rupees belonging to the Uva Provincial Council in 2016.
Now in other local news, former Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe accuses Sri Lanka cricket officials of misusing institutional funds to cover legal expenses in cases filed against him by the SLC. Ranasinghe made this allegation while appearing at the Kaduvela District Court today over legal action initiated by Sri Lanka Cricket against his conduct as the former Minister of Sports.
Former Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe appeared at the Kaduvela District Court today to take part in legal proceedings initiated by Sri Lanka Cricket. The matter was instituted by SLC over the purported harm done to the reputation and goodwill of Sri Lanka Cricket during Roshan Ranasinghe's tenure as Minister of Sports.
Certain issues arose regarding the 2020 Australian World Cup. Furthermore, concerns were raised regarding the mishandling of cricketer Danushka Gunatilaka by the relevant authorities. Considering these circumstances, I set up a committee headed by former High Court Judge Kusala Sarojini to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the matter. This committee was set up under the provisions of the Sports Act, which specifically provides for bolstering of accountability and the prevention of fraud and corruption within sports institutions. Now, Sri Lanka Cricket has filed an action claiming that I damaged their goodwill and reputation by exercising my powers as the Minister of Sports. Preliminary submissions were made today. The trial was fixed for the 10th of September. Sri Lanka Cricket has filed an action over a purported personal insult. Public funds will be spent by Sri Lanka Cricket for this legal matter. That is the truth.
Welcome back. You're joining Ada Derana, Sri Lanka's most trusted news source. Now, the Colombo Stock Exchange began this week on a positive note as a result of price gains in counters such as John Keel's Holdings, Commercial Bank and Sampan Bank. The benchmark all-share price index closed 0.41% higher at 15,916.69, while the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 gained 0.57% to close at 4,664.82. Market turnover was 1.9 billion rupees. Capital goods sector emerged as a top contributor to the market turnover, followed by the food, beverage and tobacco sector as the second highest contributor. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 280 million rupees. Up next is Kavya Jayasinghe from Capital Alliance with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
The domestic stock market rose throughout the previous week. The S&P SL 20 increased by 0.13% from 4,632 to 4,638, while the ASPI rose by 0.69% from 15,742 to 15,851. In addition to the index performance, market turnover increased by 83% to 13.14 billion rupees, owing mostly to contributions from the diversified financial sector and the food, beverage and tobacco sector. Furthermore, the government raised 145 billion rupees last week through treasury bill auctions, where interest rates increased from 3 and 12-month bills by 3 and 1 basis points, while 6-month bills decreased by 1 basis point. Additionally, the government raised 130 billion rupees last week through treasury bond auctions.
And now here's a look at today's exchange rates. Well, that's all the news we have for you tonight. For further updates, stay in touch with other Derana, the nation's most trusted news source. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit adaderana.lk.